I'm a firm believer that if you got some basic tools and some basic skills when it comes to woodworking, there's no reason that you shouldn't be building your own cabinets. Here's the deal. If you go to Home Depot or Lowe's and you look at those cabinets that they've got there, they're going to look very pretty on the face frame. Face frame may be made out of some decent material. The rest of it's going to be made out of like a particle board or something like that. Now, it works. I've used those cabinets in the past, and I've used them when I was in a pinch, and I'm not trying to knock on you if you have used those or are currently still using those. But I want you to understand where a cabinet, say a typical 30-inch cabinet at Lowe's, if it's $140, let's say, I don't know exactly the price, but whatever that cost is, well, for that same amount or less, you're going to be able to build something that's going to be made out of a lot better material. And so you're going to be able to build something out of a birch plywood that has a lot more plies. It's going to be a lot stronger. It's going to be a lot sturdier. And also, you're going to be able to build it out of 3/4 inch material, whereas most of those cabinets a lot of times are going to be half. That's a huge benefit just in itself. But what you really find when it comes to that is that Lowe's and Home Depot, they're going to work for you for the plywood and stuff that you need to get, but there are better options. Now, I will say if Lowe's or Home Depot is your only option that you've got in your area, that's totally fine. Go get a birch or a maple plywood that they've got there, and you can build cabinets out of that, and it's going to be light years better than the stuff that they're selling that's already made. Now, you don't want to go with that cheaper stuff. You don't want to go with that sandy plywood or whatever they call it. You don't want to go to an OSB. You don't want to go into any of that cheaper style plywood or particle board. You want to stay in that birch or maple, even the oak, 3/4 inch most likely. You could do a half. I tend to prefer 3/4 inch when it comes to this stuff. And what you're going to find is that when you get done, you're going to build a cabinet that probably wasn't any more expensive and is also a lot better quality. If you want to step it up again, you want to go to something even better. You want to go to like a hardwood supplier is what you want to find in your area. Now, I have to go about 30 minutes to find one, but here's the big benefit when it comes to that. The plywood that they have there is much better than what Lowe's has. Okay, a lot of Lowe's plywood is going to be 5 to 7 plies depending upon the plywood that they've got there. And what that means is that you're going to have a lot different screw holding power when you upgrade to a better quality plywood. A lot of this plywood that I build out of anymore, this style plywood here, this is 11 plies. So when you put a pocket screw in that, it's not going anywhere, and you're also not stripping it out. Whereas that other plywood from Lowe's with 5 or 7 plies, you can strip that out if you're not careful. The other benefit too that you're going to find when you go to a hardwood supplier like that is you're going to find that they have other options. They've got all kinds of weird species of wood. Maybe you need a cherry or a walnut plywood. They've got that stuff. Maybe you need something that is already pre-finished so that when you do the inside of your cabinet, you don't have to finish that. It's already pre-finished on the inside, and maybe you're going to paint the outside, so you can do one side pre-finished, one side not. Maybe you want it all pre-finished. They've got that. There are lots of other options. So what's the key when it comes to making good cabinets? It's very simple. It's good plywood. Don't cheap out. When I go to the hardwood supplier that I go to, you would think, oh, well, he's spending a lot more money to get that, and that's the reason I'm just going to stick with Home Depot or Lowe's. The truth of the matter is that this plywood that is 11 plies or so, I'm getting this plywood for the same price or less than what Lowe's is selling it for. So remember something there. Lowe's a lot of times is convenient, but it is not the cheapest, especially when it comes to lumber, especially when it comes to plywood. Again, if that's your only option, it'll totally work. But look into some other options. Just look up hardwood suppliers, lumber yards in your area. Call them and just say, hey, what kind of stuff do you guys have? How many plies does your plywood have? Ask some questions like that. Ask them if they've got cabinet grade plywood. Go take a look at it, give it a try. I think you'll be really surprised.